I am Dr. Anicia and I am the Executive Dean for the Faculty of Computing and Informatics at the Namibia University of Science and Technology. I'm a Namibian and I grew up in a very poor household of 4 children. But I was privileged enough to attend high school. That was a high school for high achievers and also the first racially integrated school in Namibia. At the time when I went to high school, we were in the struggle for independence. So we had a war and we were fighting against apartheid. So that means basically that opportunities for university was very limited. And so I left for Europe and later returned to Namibia and got married. When I had my first child, I was thinking that for her, I wished that one day she would have a PhD degree. But then I thought, well, hang on, if I want her to have a PhD degree, but the mother doesn't even have a degree, then how can that be? So then I pursued evening studies and I completed my first 2 undergraduate degrees at the current university where I'm dean at. During the time that I did the undergraduate degrees, I actually excelled a lot in my studies and I completed both degrees cum laude. I also received a Professor Irju Novo Award and the Director's Medal for Outstanding Achievement. Now, one of the things that determined my success was the fact that I really loved what I was studying. I really loved solving problems. I really loved developing solutions. I really loved helping the world. After I studied, I also worked for the Namibian government and some other companies, and then I went to lecture at the university. I then received a prestigious scholarship to go and do PhD studies in the US under the International Fulbright Science and Technology Award and later on also under the Schlumberger Faculty for the Future Women in Science Award. I did a PhD and a master's degree in human-computer interaction at the Virtual Reality Application Center at Iowa State in the United States. I managed to achieve 100% for both my master's and my PhD degree, and I also received a Research Excellence Award when I graduated. In 2012, I was honored by Google by receiving a Anita Borg scholarship for women in computer science in the US. I also received several other awards, including 2 prizes from Boeing for outstanding achievement in research. During the time in the US, I also worked in Silicon Valley as a user experience researcher for a brief period of time before I actually went to Oregon State University to work as a postdoctoral scholar. My love for Africa and my country, and Namibia in particular, sort of compelled me to return home with my family because it is here in Africa that I want to plow back into our communities, where we want to achieve much more and where I see that ICT is going to be the equalizer between developing countries and the developed world. So hence why I'm now back at my university in Namibia, and this is where we are creating many opportunities for students and faculty alike. For instance, we started the Women in Computing Society in Namibia, and we also started several other chapters of the Association of Computing Machinery. We started the Internet Society. We also initiated and I co-chaired a conference on the first African conference on human-computer interaction. And it generally just gives me joy to see how our students are actually growing in their confidence every day and how we are also starting to make a lot of strides in ICT. I'm also honored to be featured as one of 20 prominent personalities in the Who's Who in Namibia for 2017. On the home front though, I take care of 5 girls. I have 2 of my own daughters, then I have 2 adopted daughters, and then I have 1 daughter whom I'm fostering currently. And we have a lot of fun. I am the Executive Dean of the Faculty of Computing and Informatics at the Namibia University of Science and Technology. Currently, in my faculty, I'm the only Namibian with a PhD degree in a computing specialization. But luckily for us, there are many other Namibians who are sort of just waiting in the wings to complete their PhD degrees. And notably, there are quite a number of women amongst that group. My role in the faculty is to lead and to manage the faculty. And we have over 50 staff members and 1,200 students. I set the vision for the faculty, and I also ensure that our quality of qualifications and student output is aligned nationally and internationally, and our research is relevant. And currently my university is actually pushing towards more applied research, and that is the direction that we're taking. And I'm glad to report that we are making very, very good strides, and we are internationally recognized for our research in my faculty. There are so many of those stories to tell. But I took a course in ICT in 1991, and I fell instantly in love with computers, because I could do almost anything with computers. I could solve problems, I could fix computers, we could develop more productive solutions, and I could also peer into other people's networks. At the time we were taught to sort of do that as part of the lessons. It was so cool to sit on one spot and be transported to another at the touch of a button. For me, anything that the sun touches is in our domain, because every discipline needs IT. For girls to be successful, they only need to believe in themselves and take up the opportunities. Of course, at school level, they need to have math and science. But most importantly, they should never doubt that they can be successful. And remember that if at first you fail, you get up and you try again. Because the nature of ICT is that you work often on a trial and error basis, which means that you try out something, you fail, and you just try again, and that will take you closer to the solution. So therefore, you have what it takes to make it in ICT already, but what I find that girls need is they just lack sometimes the confidence. Remember that if something seems difficult, don't move it aside. Rather tackle it immediately, and most importantly, enjoy what you do, because then everything that you do becomes a joy. Careers that they can follow in ICT are so versatile, and they are so many, because as I mentioned before, every discipline in the world requires ICT. Well, some of the careers are video game designers, software engineers, mobile app developers, network engineers, technicians, database administrators, cloud architects, web developers. And then the next set of ICT careers that the world will be looking at, and where we will have some shortages, is of course still software and mobile developers, but also artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, robotics, cybersecurity experts, digital forensics experts, human-computer interaction and user experience experts, health IT specialists. Those are some of the careers that they should be looking out for. Don't believe the myths about computer science. The myths that girls are not smart enough or not tough enough, and it's only boys who are technical and good in IT. It is simply not true. The first and early programmers in the world were women. The programmers at NASA were women, the first programmers. The ENIAC computer was programmed by 6 women. Remember that you should never be afraid of trying, and even if you fail, everything in computing is about trial and error. That means when you fail, you get up and try again. Everything you want to do has IT anyways in it. Every every job has computer systems. So with a career in ICT, you can never go wrong. ICT is dominating the world and the future. The world has 50% boys and 50% girls. So therefore, it is important to have girls as well in ICT to influence our digital future, especially in Africa.